Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Quarter Life Journal. Thank you for tuning in and for being here with me. My name is Jorge, and I am currently a financial specialist at an auto dealership. What I do for a living is probably not important because that's not what we're going to talk about. I am a 33-year-old who has just taken upon the wonderful world of blogging. Never done it before, just decided that now is the time. In the past, I've struggled with debt, weight loss issues, parenting, and at some point in time, I went through such a deep struggle that I found myself weighing about 316 pounds, actually 313 pounds, with amassing over $125,000 in debt. Quite a chunk of change. And when you're 33 years old, at the time I was in my mid 20s when all of this was going on, you start to freak out. I immediately thought to myself, how do I get past this? So I would go to the internet and I just wouldn't, find a whole lot, at least not together. I would find chunks and pieces and try to piece it all together and try to create some kind of sense out of everything that I was going through. More specifically, in 2013, I found myself not only with the $125,000 in debt, but also unemployed, and thinking to myself, wow, at some point, if I can't even make it past this age, how am I even going to make it to the next crisis that everyone knows about, the midlife crisis, right? Enter a term that I picked up somewhere called the quarter life. I guess when you're in your 20s and 30s, that's a quarter life. And I thought to myself, well, this is definitively a quarter life crisis. Recently, I found myself finally making progress with these things and thinking back at the things that helped me. In 2011, I went to see Tony Robbins, a seminar that changed my life. But as a recurring theme during that seminar, Tony constantly spoke about why it's important to take action. Knowledge without action is essentially a waste, right? Knowledge isn't power, action is power. And I didn't take action. That was 2011. This video is being recorded 2019. And it's taken me that long to figure that out. And he always said it throughout the event. It takes a split second to make a decision and to finally take action and do what essentially you need to do. So what has changed? June 4th, I woke up huffing and puffing and breathing pretty excessively. Found myself at the height of my weight, 313 pounds. That's June 4th of 2018. And decided instantly, as Tony would have said, to change my state and finally do something about it. Inspired by that, I started doing a little bit of research, bought a little technology. I found something that motivated me. I love technology, so I went and bought like an Apple Watch and started tracking a couple of things. But what I realized helped me the most was finally paying attention and rereading some of the books that over the years I had listened to, read, or what have you, and it would go in one ear and right out the other. So my objective became now to do as the books say to do, take the actual action steps that they said to do. And I realized that people's biographies, people's stories helped me change my life. So what I wanted to do is create a journal, ergo the name Quarter Life Journal, to essentially put together my thoughts and processes for how I overcame some of these things, in the hopes that somebody might read it and it might help you jump out of whatever situation that you find yourself in. Together, I want to put your stories combined with mine and help everyone as much as we can. I find that in today's era, there's a lot of pride in not helping each other, and so I think we should do the opposite. Let's help each other out. So the Quarter Life Journal, what it is, it's going to be a collection of thoughts. I recently read a book called The Miracle Morning, and it led me to recognize how important building habits are. And one of the first habits I started to take upon mastering is waking up early and journaling, something I've never done before. And so now the most creative way for me to do it is to record myself or type it out or write it, whatever, and get my thoughts out. And I wanted to share those thoughts. Again, kind of have an open dialogue about these things. Things that I want to talk about throughout this journal. I want to talk about health, wealth, parenting, travel. I love to travel. Definitely want to talk about good places to go, how to save money doing it, how to make money. I certainly have a lot of questions to ask. I hope to invite experts to my journal and ask and pry and pick at their brains and see how they did certain things. So by no means am I positioning myself or this journal as an expertise journal, but instead a collection of thoughts of people's other ideas and some of my own, and how we can put them together and finally create something that is meaningful. That said, the why, like I said, I'm a financial guy and I know how to make a living, but in the end, I worry and think about my legacy. What am I going to leave behind? At the end of the day, I'm not sure that just working is what I was born to do. In fact, I'm confident that's not what I was born to do. I was excited and eager, and I love what I do. I love my job, but I certainly want to give back. So this is my way to do so. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the content. And this is organic and dynamic. I want it to grow along with the contributions that you provide and your feedback. That said, often people ask me how I do certain things. Recently, I lost 78 pounds. People want to know how I did that. So in my journal entries, I'm going to get into details on the things that I did. I find that sometimes explaining it to people once or even twice is not enough. So I'm hoping that by recording it, logging it, you can come back, watch this as many times as you want, and hopefully make sense out of it. And if it works for you, great. And if you have a better idea or suggestion, I'd love to try it, because that's what this is about, right? We want to survive. And if there's a way that you know how to do it better, or there's information that you can provide, let's do it together. Where you can find me, there will be a Facebook channel. There's also going to be a YouTube channel. I've also created an Instagram already for this. On Facebook, you can find the Quarter Life Journal. On YouTube, you can find the Quarter Life Journal. On Instagram, it's the QLJ. So for now, those are the places I'll be posting until further notice, and we'll grow along as time goes on. I'll take advantage to start this post immediately with the time of year, the new year. We have the New Year, New You syndrome. Everyone wakes up around this time of year and decides that this is it. I'm going to lose all the weight. I'm going to make all the money. I'm going to make all the changes. And the motivation essentially disappears, kind of like oil on a hot pan. At some point it dries up and the motivation well runs dry. So what do you do? So I want to take advantage to talk about how this time of year for me has usually been that same conundrum, right? You wake up and you say, I have all this energy, I want to do this. How do I go about doing it? For this time of year, as we set the goals, we should also remind ourselves to take inventory of what it takes to accomplish those goals. What does it mean? Visualizing the end, right? As it's the perfect time to audit your life. Do you know what it takes to accomplish this goal? Do you have the skills already? Do you have to build certain skills? Do you have all the information that you need? You have to remember that greatness, what it is basically doing things when it sucks to do them. Right? Not just because rah, 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 affirmations, I look in the mirror and I tell myself, yay, I'm going to do this, right? Because that pretty much dries up very quickly. Who do you know who's done something great, and can you mimic, right? Tony Robbins would always say, success leaves clues, right? So I never really knew what that meant. I finally started realizing if I compile the things that everyone that I look up to or aspire to be has, one of the first things I picked up on is how early they wake up. So that's when I decided that it was time for me to start waking up earlier and taking advantage of the time of day to do certain things. But more than anything, remember that motivation gets you started. Habits are what keep you going. So your focus as you try to incorporate new lifestyle choices and try to complete your New Year's resolution is to remember that you need to build better habits, and habits require commitment. You have to commit. You have to commit. And commit means if it rains, if it snows, no matter what, I'm going to do this anyway. It's not enough to just do it on the days I feel like it. Going to work, going to school, all of those things are things that as children, right, our parents tell us we have to, and we fight and we resist, and then we become adults, and now we have the freedom to say no. And that's the challenge. You recall certain memes, maybe you've seen them around, that say adulting is hard, hashtag adulting, right? Well, my favorite of those memes is the one that says, you know, you've reached adulthood when you have to have that conversation with yourself and you're thinking about buying food, and suddenly you remind yourself, wait, there's food at home. That's how it is with all your goals. You have to adult and basically tell yourself, hey, I'm going to have to make this sacrifice because I am an adult. So let's start your New Year's resolutions with essentially understanding that you have to build better habits, and that you're going to have to make decisions to do things past that feeling of it sucking. The outcome has to be large enough, important enough to go past that I should do something and switch it into the I must do something. Things you'll need to succeed, you'll need to ask yourself better questions of yourself, right? It's not enough to just do them. It's not enough to just say, I want to do this because I want to look better, or I want to do this because I want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? Can you picture, can you envision it, right? Our minds are connected and hardwired to really create a sensation. If you can visualize it and feel it more than anything, tap into that metaphysical, if you will, then ultimately you'll find that you can do these things. Remember to accept yourself no matter where you are in the process. At this point, you might not be where you want to be. That's okay. Okay. Remember, you're going to fail. We welcome failure. Fail as often as you can. If you're not failing, you're not trying. And if you're not trying, you're not doing anything. Remember that your thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. So, the better you can control your thoughts, the better your results will be. Remember to also find your peace. Understanding, as I took a journey of 78 pounds so far, to remind myself every day through the anxiety that, oh my God, I haven't lost a single pound yet. I'm doing everything right and nothing is happening. Is to stop and ask better questions and find peace within that and say, hey, you know what? I woke up and I'm doing it and I'm still trying. And at the end of the day, that's much better than what it was yesterday. It's you against yesterday. I like that motto. I see that across the gym everywhere. At the end of the day, you must find and know that there are also no shortcuts whatsoever, right? If you're looking for the quick and easy route, yes, you want to minimize the time it takes to do something. The best way you can do that is read a book, watch this website, or these videos rather. Read into somebody else's ability to have done something to shorten the amount of time it takes you to do something, but there are no shortcuts, meaning don't try to do something faster by either not doing it at all or taking the easy route just because it's easy, right? Find the people who have done it already and see how they succeeded, and more importantly, why they failed. What else can I tell you? Remember also that you are in control. You are in total control. Worry about the things you can control. Do not worry about the things that you can't control. Worrying about the things that you can't control is pointless because you can't do anything about it. But the things you can control, what time you wake up, what you do during the time that you're awake, right? I found myself spending a lot of time. I can talk to you about pretty much a zillion Netflix shows. That's great. That's phenomenal. But it's doing nothing for my life. Yes, it's entertaining. And it's this whole conversation about pain versus pleasure. Of course, we're always going to pick pleasure over pain. We're hardwired to do so. So it's kind of interesting to say, I'm asking you to pick pain. I'm asking you to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And if you need any suggestion on how to do that, read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. Phenomenal book. The man talks about all his failures and all his successes, and still, the guy's a Navy SEAL, and still he feels like there's more that he can do, right? It's not settling just because you succeeded once, just because you had success last year or the year before or 10 years ago. Who cares? That was then. This is now. So long as you're alive, you have every day as an opportunity to do bigger and greater things and to take it to the next level. So remember, you are in control. And what do you want for your legacy to be, right? Do you think about life after you? What will people remember you for? That's constantly on my mind now, especially when I think about, my daughter and having, what's she gonna think about me, and what are my grandkids gonna think about me? So think about your legacy. Remember, finally, to live like God is watching, if you believe in God, or believe that someone you care about is watching, right? Do the things that would make them proud. That's the general gist of that. I'd like to end with a quote that I read recently that says, "A warrior's destiny is greater than his wounds." That resonated with me. I listened to it in it was either a podcast or a book, but it sits strongly in my mind because remember that it's the journey. Too often we're worried about the final result, right? Losing the 78 pounds, it was the ride to the 78 pounds that was more meaningful than the actual amount of weight that was lost. Because in the process, I learned to love myself. I learned to find what works, what doesn't work. And I found ways to challenge myself to the point where most recently I climbed a volcano, something that I would have thought otherwise in the past. I would have thought of crazy to even think about. I still think I'm crazy. But it was awesome to get to the top of that, breathe, sigh, forgive me, to find a breath of relief is what I was trying to say, and thinking, wow, I actually did this. the way down was actually harder than the way up. Something I'll talk about in other postings. But alas, welcome to the Quarter Life Journal. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. The next video that's going to come up is an interview that a friend of mine interviewed me to ask about how I've traveled for the last couple of years, either for free or as close to free as possible using points and miles. So I hope you enjoy that presentation, and thank you for tuning in.